So a good introduction to our new theme of childhood. I'm going to be sketching in the Museum of Childhood. Another big question here, when does childhood end? I'm going to have a look around at some of the exhibits and start drawing. So what I'm going to suggest you do when we get to the museum is, with your piece of A4 cartridge paper, I'm going to suggest you divide it into 4. And you see your first task really as looking for motifs. So we've got the theme of childhood, we've got a mother and toddler model in the studio. And here there's a whole range of material, toys, dolls, reflections on education and other aspects of childhood. And rather than dwell on a single drawing where you might take pains to get the whole museum display put together in proportion and so on, I suggest you fill a page with some different subject matter, possibly in an attempt to find motifs, but also to find a kind of atmosphere, something that can then contribute to a later composition where you've explored these different possibilities to see how they refer to the theme. So I worked a bit on a rocking horse, and here I'm very much drawn to this display of babies' booties, I suppose, and makes me think of one aspect of, well, potentially something you might be thinking about for the theme, is just scale. You know, so much of what is displayed here, quite inevitably, is small. Sometimes when you're drawing or painting, it can be quite difficult to convey that sense of scale. It depends what things are compared with as to whether they appear to be small, although in the case of babies' booties, they are pink and fluffy, and it's, I suppose, yes, it's not quite, they're not designed to fit a formed foot. Anyway, I'm saying all of this because I think it is relevant to how images that you create, how they are interpreted. And I'm hoping to kind of lead you in attempting to convey something of a theme to do with childhood. And of course that can mean all sorts of things to different people. But I think scale and how your images might be interpreted is a good thing to think about at this stage when, as I've been suggesting, you might be looking for motifs. And I think a set of booties certainly is very interesting as a way of referring to the absent children, because they're not in the booties. So I suppose this is what Rona referred to as the scary dolls. A whole floor of dolls through the ages and through the cultures. So yes, scary dolls. So, you know, representations of childhood are not necessarily going to be idyllic. And this display of a kind of crowd of dolls is already quite an image, conveys a certain atmosphere. But then this idea of looking for motifs and just thinking what different images and collections of depictions, what they convey, and how you can manage that effect to convey the particular atmosphere you might be after. And granted, at this stage you won't know, and there is of course the additional challenge of whether or not what you draw here will have some sort of relevance to the mother and toddler model that we have in the following week at the studio. But I wouldn't worry about that at this stage. I would think just in terms of picture making, what do these different displays, what associations do they create? And if you were to include them in a painting or a mixed media composition at the end of the 3 weeks of this theme, how would you do that in order to get the kind of mood that you're after? So that's just a brief introduction to the Museum of Childhood as our opening to the theme. So we'll be here on Monday, and I'll be getting you to search for a motif.